Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Thursday night sermon. My name is Gary Dean, and this is Eye Opener Society. I just wanted to welcome everybody that comes in. And if you give me just 1 minute, I got to set a couple things up. Okay, I do apologize for that. Just getting things set up for the sermon here. I wanted to start off by saying that a couple of weeks ago, my mind had gone pretty quiet. And I had even told Lizzie during our last recording, I said, I'm having a little bit of difficulty trying to get some ideas just because my mind has been quiet. And it's really was no big deal. It's not like writer's block or anything, but my mind just went quiet. So I had nothing really to talk about. But it's amazing how things change, the way things develop over life. And because I had no real topic, all of a sudden I have something very personal, something very deep to share. And I figured I'd wait for the sermon because there's a big life lesson involved in all of it. I always talk about work, and I still don't talk too much. Like I said, I keep work off the air and all, but I use work as an example for us as human beings because we are always kind of slaves to this grind where we have to go into work every day and it sucks up most of our life. And people say, well, you're overreacting, or, well, it's not. It's not overreacting because life continues to move and it's continuous. So when work gets in the way, we tend to miss things that we probably should not miss. Now, I also wanted to put in the lesson of life and death, and I wanted to do this personally because I have my beliefs on death. Death is nothing more than a continuation of life. I don't fear death. I never feared death. It's the part of the life cycle, the life loop. There's really no fear you need of death. I've spoken about this many times in previous podcasts, and this blends in what we do in our everyday living life. The two kind of overlap. And if we don't live each day as if we were dying, we start to lose a little bit of something in us. And that becomes an issue. It becomes an issue with how we feel, how we go about doing things. And we seem to lose a little bit of ourselves each day. So here's what I want to try and combine together. And I want to get my thoughts straight on this. So I was asked to work. Not really asked, I was told to work on a weekend, a Saturday. And I was extremely frustrated about that. Probably more frustrated than most. I become very animated when I'm angry. And I made it a point. I said, I do not work on weekends. My normal work week is Monday through Friday. If I have to come in for something and I don't even get overtime for it, I'm not going to come in. I am not showing up. I'm not working 6 days straight. It's just not happening. And again, when people say, oh, you're overreacting or whatever that case may be, you have to understand. If I gave up my weekend, I'm going to give up one day that I'm not going to be with my wife, whom I normally don't see on occasions because of her work schedule. I could be losing time with someone who I cherish in my life. Or there could be something happening that day that I'm not going to be able to be a part of, that I really wanted to be a part of to fulfill my life because I have to spend it at work. This is not overreaction. This is standing up for yourself, your well being, and your sovereignty. I make a post. Obviously, I get comments on it too when I say you should be living life and doing things that you enjoy and go out there and do them and stop worrying so much about work and start fulfilling your life. And I get these comments that, oh, dude, it's so hard. We can't do that, man, because oh wow, we need to work to survive and get money, and everything's so expensive. Here's the problem that I'm having with that, and forgive me if I'm getting angry. As a minister, I want to bring something out to people that's going to better you. You don't have to agree with it, and you don't have to follow it. I am nothing more than another person on the internet giving some advice or talking. Since I have my own ministry, I must implore to you that when I say you are nothing more than a victim playing the victim card when it comes to this, that's my truth to you. Every time you say, oh, I got to work because I have all these things that I got to pay for, well, here's your problem. You have all those things that you need to pay for. If you truly want to be involved in your life for real, spiritually, give up these things that are holding you back. You could take it to one extreme to another. You could go take everything, get rid of everything, go buy a cheap van and live out of the van and be happy every day of your life by seeing new things, exploring the world, fulfilling your soul. So don't play the victim with me. The whole problem we have is that work has been so ingrained in us. All of these rules have been so ingrained in us. And I don't want to repeat myself because I know I had podcasts on this very thing. So I have to let everyone know once again that you are the most important person in your world and you need to start living like such. So here's the thing. We must take into consideration our own feelings. This is completely natural for us. So here's the next thing now that happens. After I worry so much and I wind myself up over working on a Saturday, what happens next is more personal, and I wind up with some things that are going to teach you a little bit about life and death. Going back to work, someone whom works, with me, and I'm not going into too much detail, passed away unexpectedly. Okay. And I've also dealt with deaths this year as well, because if we remember, I had my own solo episode about Charles Erzlich, who ran a podcast that I was very close with. The podcast was called oh, goodness gracious. I'm getting a little bit emotional. So here's the thing. Just Us Thinking was the podcast. Just Us Tasting. He also did Echo Oral Productions. Passes away unexpectedly as well. So I wind up now with this whole thing that everything combined. I have things now to talk about. I made something to do about living life. And now we're throwing death into there. And it brought me back to my point why I shouldn't be working on that Saturday for this very reason. Because if something happened to me where I die unexpectedly tomorrow or after that Saturday that I worked, well, that Saturday would have been the last Saturday that I had in my life. And I completely gave it up over nonsense because of work. I'd much rather have a smile on my face than to have money. And I want to make that an extreme point. This is my point, because we can always not be here at any moment. That's the reality. I can accept that. But here's the thing. We need not fear death. What we do need to fear is being alive and living like we're dead. My name is Gary Dean. This is Eye Opener Society. And if you give me a couple minutes, I'm going to bring on Lizzie. So just give me a second to set everything up with that.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry. We'll say, give me a second. I just want to let everybody, our cosmic fairy princess Lizzie. Take it away, Lizzie.
Thank you very much. And I'm gonna turn my camera back off because I know in honor of doing whatever I want to lounge in my car here, and I don't want you to have to stare at my ceiling. So you're just gonna have to enjoy listening to me. Please, Gary, interrupt me if you can't hear me. So recently, I've been playing with everything, as always, and I couldn't come up with a topic to talk about today. Everything circled it: quantum healing, frequency of money, life purpose, your dreams, reality, truth, everything. It all kind of circled back to one idea. So that's what I want to talk about today. And I might even keep it short because I'm just having a fun time out here in the sun here. Everything that I know is kind of built around the idea that reality is perspective. You'll find people in all kinds of religious structures, people who don't believe in religion and rely heavily on science to build that structure, their childhood, the ideas that they learn and experience. Everything builds into this perspective. And the truth is that a lot of us who would identify their lives as either going through an awakening or on a spiritual journey, we're kind of on this quest to play with our reality and our perspective. And one thing I've learned is that the more flexible your perspective is, the more flexible reality becomes. And that's just kind of like automatic. If you know something to be true, you won't see anything else. And that goes for people, opportunities, ideas, information, everything. But how do you really change your how do you change your perspective? Because everything that you know is kind of built off of it until you have that moment where you start questioning everything. And I'm just kind of assuming that if you're listening to this, you're questioning everything. In my experience, perspective is built off of what you know, which is really what you assume to be true, what you think you can expect, and your morals. What you assume to be true is like what makes you a good person? Is it being kind? Is it being helpful? Is it just doing your best? Like whatever it is that makes you a good person, that's what you assume to be true. What you expect is like what you expect for being a good person. Do you expect to be rewarded? Do you expect to be surrounded by other good people? And then your morals. I'm so sorry about my voice. I'm out here in the nice warm sun. Your morals are what you're willing to uphold under pressure. When the discomfort of the world starting to argue with what you know to be true, what you assume to be true, what you expect to be true, what are you willing to cave on? What are you willing to change and flex? That's how flexible your perspective is. And I think that a lot of people have kind of two perspectives. One where everything is going good, and one is where everything is going bad. And the truth is, I think we bounce between these. And oh my goodness. The more awareness we have to which one we're currently sitting in, the more we can play with what is happening in our perspective and in our reality. When we know that we're thinking like everything's going to go wrong, you can take your thoughts and feelings under advisement of that. What are you processing? When everything feels like it's going good, it's a good time to start playing with and assessing, expanding, and what you can learn and grow. and, and I just want to invite everybody to take some time this weekend to really think about what they see to be true. What do you know for what you would call factual to be true? What do you expect builds off of that? And what are your actual morals? What do you expect other people's morals to be? These are questions we all play in, but I find that a lot of people don't take the time to write it down. And when you start to write it down, you start finding the holes in what you think you know. And that's all I wanted to share today. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you so much, Lizzie. I really appreciate it. Thank you for struggling through that. You're amazing, and I appreciate you very much. I appreciate everyone who's listened to us. And don't forget, we do this every Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live across Facebook and across YouTube. Join us live. It's always appreciative to see you. But don't forget, right after we do this, I put the recording up on all major podcast platforms as well as YouTube and BitChute. Once again, this is Eye Opener Society. This is our ministry. You are our wonderful audience, and we enjoy each and every one of you. So thank you again for joining us, and we hope to see you again.